I tested the new corrupted dungeons and the changes are noticeable. Now they didn't change that many things, sadly, but the things they did change were good. Let me explain why. The most obvious change is that the main entrance is now accessible through every main city. This is a big change.
Actually, Mufanza, this doesn't sound like a big change.
It is a big change because this buffs the silver per hour you can do in corrupted dungeons significantly. Look, you just put on a set, you don't even need a mount, you walk across the room and boom, you are instantly teleported into a corrupted dungeon. In about 2 to 4 minutes, there is going to be an invasion. After the very first PvP fight, you don't continue clearing the dungeon, the boss is not worth it. You don't venture deeper, you just return to the surface, stash your loot, and then walk across the room again and go inside the next dungeon. No need for the pointless walking simulator anymore, now you get an instant access to goated solo, full loot, IP kept PvP content, and with no rats to steal your kills. Here's the system that I used. In my bank I had 2 tabs. One of them was filled with a few instances of my set. I always use the same set and I have a quick loadout so that I can quickly equip it, but I have it several times because sometimes I will die, of course. Then I have another tab which is for the loot. If I kill someone in the corrupted dungeons, I put the loot there and then I sort through it later. Now I just walk across the room, I don't even need a mount for this, and I get instantly teleported into a corrupted dungeon. I remember to use the shrine because I want some PvP, and then I engage in some brain dead PvE until an invasion happens. For the sake of making this video, I also took note of the time, as I was curious about the exact time it takes to get an invasion. In the data that I tracked, it was consistently between 2 to 4 minutes. Surprisingly, it didn't even matter if I was playing on prime time or not. It was always those 2 to 4 minutes. I never played deep in the night because I'm a sleepy boy, but I do like to play early in the morning before going to work. All of this was on the European server, I cannot speak for the other 2. Anyway, in those 3 minutes, on average, an invasion happens and I get to experience some balanced one-on-one PvP combat. Before you ask, yes, I did keep a spreadsheet to track this. I also tracked what weapons do people play and how much silver can I gain for killing them. From the data that I collected, there was a lot of fire staffs, but also crossbows, chill howls and life touches were very popular. But there was still a wide variety of weapons that I got matched against. I played against off-meta stuff like forge hammers or even weird stuff like a great axe. As for the silver, sometimes it's as low as 100k and sometimes you can get really big payouts, 800k and more. It's just above 300k on average. I'm not sure if this increases if you go higher in rank. I find it plausible, if by nothing else then at least by the fact that in higher ranks people are more likely to wear expensive artifact weapons. Okay, and now it's finally time to get to the good stuff. I will show you some selected fights from my experience, I will talk them over, and I will also explain the build that I'm wearing. Here's the build I went with. Smugglerscape OP, roasted snapper for food, roast pork is the budget option. For your head, it doesn't matter because I went with the new energy shield ability, which is actually pretty solid. I don't care about the energy, but blocking 460 damage every 20 seconds is pretty strong and you can just spam this off cooldown anytime you are about to receive damage. For running, any blade boots will do on rejuvenating sprint. Although you might want to consider royal boots if you can afford them, they are better against some kiters. For W on your weapon, you either use Frazzle or the Enigma Blade. Frazzle against kiters, Enigma Blade against melee brawlers. A Daybreaker, for instance, is a melee brawler, so you can see me swap my W here. In every fight, I make sure to inspect my opponent and think about my strategy. Specifically, I think about what can I use my purge on and what can they do against my jacket. In this case, I know that they can purge my jacket, so I decide not to use it before they use their purge, which they do right away to close the distance, reasonable. So I immediately use my jacket, get it off cooldown, and now I can outbrawl the brawler. They counter my jacket with their cultist cowl, but luckily they were not fast enough. Now I've gotten a good value out of my jacket already. But since I cannot just brawl anymore, I blink away to gain some distance. I see them use their boots here, which is good, and after they use their Inferno Shield, I know that I can use my boots to safely kite away. And again, now I'm just trying to keep my distance, poke them from afar. I don't really want to brawl them, because they will outbrawl me. But they kinda run out of options of getting close to me. Unfortunately, I get caught in the trap, which is a big misplay from my part. Once they use their shoes again, I try to out-tank them to waste as much of their shoes as possible, and then I can use my shoes to regain the distance again. I noticed they used their E while my jacket was on 15 seconds cooldown. Their E has 20 seconds, so I will have 5 seconds to use my jacket here. I don't really want to force it through their Inferno Shield though, so I just kite away. Now I cannot use the jacket, they would just purge it. They are on 3 stacks as well, so I want to kite away from that. It is dangerous. Again, they use their E for distance, so I immediately pop my jacket and get a nice value out of it. I make sure not to touch them while I'm under the cultist cowl.
Sweet to me, this is where I wanna be. On up with you, supersonic, we're on fire, like your love alive. On up with you. Just in the backseat of the beamer, put my feet up, high feeling.
Here I see them eating soup, so I immediately need to react somehow. Ideally, I want to keep them in combat, otherwise I can eat my soup or kite away. I try to keep them in combat and miss, so this is a problem. They've regained a big chunk of their health. Luckily they missed their E, so I can try to keep my distance again.
How you feeling? Yeah. Just in the backseat of the beamer, put my feet up, how you feeling?
I purge their jacket and their stacks, and I try to get value from my mercenary jacket, but they cancel it with their cowl. Here they miss both of their spells, and thanks to that I am still alive, otherwise I would be cooked. Now they are out of resources, not just cooldowns and health, but also mana, so they try to run away and go for a reset. I would very much want to keep them in combat, not much I can do. And since I am unsuccessful on that, I need to kite away again. They will get a complete reset because of their soup.
Just in the backseat of the beamer, put my feet up, how you feeling? Yeah. Just in the backseat of the beamer, put my feet up, how you feeling? Yeah. Just in the backseat of the beamer, put my feet up, how you feeling? Yeah.
I use my boots a bit aggressively here because I heard them use their E and I still see them being low on mana, so I want to capitalize on that. The lava trap pushes me in the wrong direction and I'm not really happy with how this is going. Then popping Inferno Shield here gives me great value because now I can purge both their shield and their stacks. They would be better off by not popping it, they would still outgrow me at that point. Now I finally regain my distance again, so here's where I'm comfortable. By the way, the Reflect W on spears is not very good against this matchup, as I can just simply wait for them to stop spinning their little stick and don't touch them unless they stop with it. But I guess they took it for the mana regain. It would be good if I was on Frazzle, by the way. My resource advantage is too big at this point and I can just simply stand and finish them. Instead, I actually give them a chance to go for another reset, which is a mistake on my side. Luckily for me, instead of resetting, they opt for an aggressive Giga Chat Gambo, and I win this with a great fanfare. The strategy flips 180 when I fight against kiters, like bows or frost staffs. Now it's them who's gonna run away, and I will try to chase them and bash them over the head. If I have royal boots, now is the time to switch to the royal march. I will also switch my W to Frazzle, because my enemy might not be in range for the Enigma Blade to hit. This matchup is not good for me because I don't have any sure thing to purge from them with my E. Thus, I can just freely spam the E for its silence and damage. I also keep spamming my Frazzle off cooldown to make as much damage with it as possible. And I try to stick on top of my opponent, because I know that they will run away. While chasing them, I will receive some hits, and that's perfectly fine. I can trade some health for some distance. A health is a resource like any other. At this point, I have no more tools to chase them with, so I kite back a little bit and wait for my boots to come back online. Okay, fine, I can purge their invisibility or boots, but it's never a sure hit. Do note that in reality I have much more health than what I appear to have right now, because I have both of my potions ready. Like, I didn't have to use it this fight, but the Smuggler's Cape is absolutely broken in 1v1 PvP. If you run a build that uses any cape that's different to it, make sure to think about it twice. Like, there are some builds that use Carrion Cape, which is good, but for most fights, the Q potions are just way too strong. Anytime you see someone wearing a Harvester Cap or a Druid Robe, you can be quite sure it's some kind of cheesy one-shot build. The way that I deal with them is by swapping to as much defensives as I humanly can, and then I try to predict their one hit, which is usually well telegraphed, and I pop a defensive in advance. They wear the Harvester Cap in order to prevent me from popping a defensive, but if I'm wearing a leather helmet, I can swap to Cleanse and just cleanse me of the sleep. If I'm not wearing a leather helmet, my W also has an option for a Cleanse. And you can see them immediately close the distance with their assassin shoes. So in preparation for the big hit, I pop my Inferno Shield. I also space away from their cape, which I can do with my shoes because they don't have theirs. And you can see them play this pretty smart. They baited my defensive, they still have their shot, and I can see them activating their Druid Robes in here, which is a telegraph for me, saying that they are going to go for the big shot, the big pounce. However, as an Arcane staff, I can just purge these robes off them. Once they swoop in, I silence and pop my Gigantify potion in preparation for their big hit, and they are still holding it. They only use their shot once my potion wears off. I try to cleanse the sleep and get away from it, but fail at doing so. Just barely I still win this. But I was only able to survive the big hit because I succeeded at purging their robes and waiting out their cape before. The Arcane staff is a weapon that brawls with kiters and kites with brawlers. Naturally, the only matchups it has problems with are ranged brawlers, as you cannot kite them, so you must try to outbrawl them, which might be a bit difficult. These are the stuff as the Trinity Spear or crossbows. The Arcane staff also doesn't have enough burst damage to outbrawl a live touch, which is currently a bit broken. In theory, you can dance around it perfectly, and if it doesn't hit you a single time, you might have a chance, but I suggest to just go for the break immediately as you see them and just don't fight them at all. It's annoying, but what can you do? It is what it is.